All right, so hello and welcome to both my live and virtual listeners. Welcome to class. So my name is Jill Goddard and I will be your instructor. Today's date is February 2nd, 2018. My email address is listed on the screen, so please feel free to email me if you have any questions. A few reminders before class, please be sure to run the audio setup wizard prior to each class to be sure your headset is working properly. Also be sure to click on your electronic hand to put it down, as it will raise automatically each time you enter the classroom. Furthermore, let's remove all distractions so we can concentrate together for the entire duration of class. So removing distractions consists of turning off your cell phone, placing a do not disturb sign on your door, and so we can enjoy class together uninterrupted. All right, so let's quickly do our quality check. We'll do all three of these at once. So please give me a green check if you can see the red record light in the upper right-hand corner, if you see quality check written at the top of the slide, and if you can hear me sufficiently. Awesome, so we should be all set. So the big idea of today's session is, as a high school teacher, how can we implement learning technologies and the suggested guidelines for practice into online classes to make them more effective? So I know we have some, not all high school teachers today, but as professors, instructors, teachers, we all want our classes to be effective and efficient for learning. So despite the rapid growth of online learning, many students still say they prefer the traditional classroom setting. Unfortunately, or according to the results of a national research study, 78% of more than 1,000 students surveyed still believe it is easier to learn in an online classroom. You may ask, well, why is this? Well, many times online classrooms are not very well designed and do not provide any interaction, so students get a feeling of isolation. One student that was actually surveyed in this survey said that they would like to have more interaction, and instead of just reading articles and posting discussions, they would like to have learned from a video podcast from the professor. So think about it and give me a green check if you've ever been in an online class that was not well designed or where you felt isolated. Yeah, I think most of us have kind of had that experience, unfortunately. Kind of puts a bad taste in our mouth for online learning. But it actually, if we find that if our online learning are engaging, studies show that online classes can be more effective than face-to-face. So for our learning objectives for today, there by the end of the session, students will be able to identify useful technologies that they can implement into their online courses, list the 3 guidelines for practice, and outline 2 ways to apply their content to their own classroom. So over the years, the development of learning technologies have really transformed online education. Some of the new technologies are Web 2.0, social media, mobile learning. All of these have greatly impacted online learning. Historically, online classes were not as effective as face-to-face. However, with the development of technologies, it's really changed e-learning to be a more collaborative approach and allow for more interaction for effective learning. For example, Web 2.0 is no longer just reading and consuming information, but it gives users a wide range of abilities to communicate and gain information. So then also along came social media, and it improved our ability to communicate and share information with others. Also, mobile learning gave us a unique ability to access information when we're away from our computer. So if we have a smartphone or a tablet, we can use those. And I know in my high school, a lot of teachers use Remind, which is an app that provides notification for reminders of homework and upcoming tests. So that's a good way to communicate with students using these kinds of technologies. So now I want to quickly talk about and demonstrate the Google Office Suite so you can implement it into your own online classrooms. Google is a great learning tools that are free and can be accessed and used online. It includes Google Docs like Microsoft Word, Sheets like Excel, and then Slides like PowerPoint. They can be accessed online only through the Google Web Server, but they allow for real-time collaboration, which means you can share with multiple people and they can be editing it at once. So everybody can be editing it at one time. So let's first use the application share tool to do a quick demo. I'll show you how to create the Google Doc. Then I'll share a Google Doc with you, and we can actually collaborate together using that Google Doc. So let me pull it up here. So in order to create these docs, the first thing you're going to do is log into Google. Then you're going to click up here on your Google Apps, go to Google Drive. All right, then first thing we want to do is create a folder. So you go to New, click on Folder. I'll just type in Web Conference and then click Create. And your folder comes up down here. You can click on that folder. And then let's create a new, we can do a Docs, Sheets, or Slides. So I'm going to create a new doc. We'll do a blank one, or you can choose from a template that's already built. First thing you want to do when you have this doc, you want to give it a name. So I'll just type in title. Then you have access to start typing information, but once you want to share it, you'll click up here in the right-hand corner where it says Share. And you have two ways of sharing. You can either put in individual email addresses. If you do that, then you'll want to click here to say if you want them to be able to view, comment, or edit the draft. Or you can get the shareable link, and here you can copy this link and you send it to anybody that you want. And then again, when you send this link, you'll want to say whether you want them to be able to edit, comment, or view. So that's how you will create your doc. So now let's go into a doc that I have already created. So we can collaborate together. So on this document, I want you to think about how you can use Google Drive or Google Docs in your online class. So when you see name, if you could type your name in there, and then maybe give an example or two of how you could use it in an online class. And then once you're done typing, if you could go ahead and share your thoughts with us. Go ahead, Caroline.
So I was just saying that to use Google in an online class, you could use it to collaborate on a question together. So if the professor gives you a question that he wants a group to answer, then 3 or 4 of you could research and find answers that you think are correct, and then you can put all of that information together and then ruminate and reflect on that information and then come up with a final answer together.
Perfect. Great idea. Maria?
I guess mine is similar to Caroline's. For example, if you give students a prompt or a composition, they can work on it alone, and then they can use the shareable link and share it with one other classmate after they're done, so that that classmate can proofread and signal mistakes, and then just go back and forth until they think that they've, you know, finished correcting it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good use. So you can do proofreading and you can share, like you said, their mistakes so they can go back and edit it later. I like that. Ahmed?
I think you can give like put students in a group and assign them to a specific document with case studies so they can collaborate together at the same time. Write their participation in the document, and you can, as a instructor, you can read how they participate in this document.
Yeah, perfect. All three are really good examples, and it's just a really good way to, if you have a project that multiple people can be working on it at the same time without having to be present in the same room with each other. Awesome, thanks guys. So let's go ahead and we will go back to our whiteboard here. So there are many guidelines for practice and principles that are within the teaching presence that we can use to help create social and cognitive presence that should be applied through the design and organization, the facilitation of discourse, and direct instruction of the class. So when designing an online course, instructors need to promote trust and inclusion through a welcoming environment. They should work backwards from the intended learning objectives. They should set goals and expectations. When we're thinking about facilitating discourse, teachers need to be able to direct the discussion with a supportive and encouraging discourse. We want to get to know the students, and then also the students get to know us. We want to encourage students who are not participating to start participating. And we also want to be present in the conversation or discussion, but not overly involved. And then lastly, when we're thinking about providing direct instruction, we want to make sure we're reviewing academic challenges, we're providing positive feedback, connecting ideas, and supplying closure for the academic discussions that we have. So now let's move on to our case study. So when thinking about this case study, please consider the technologies and the guidelines for practice that we talked about. So here's our scenario. Our high school has just decided to run an online class because students would like to open up their schedule. So they want to have the opportunity to take more classes. However, our teachers have never taught an online class, and they're nervous about it. They don't think it's going to be effective. They don't know how to design it. So what suggestions would you offer the teachers? So now in the breakout rooms, I've created a template for you to brainstorm, but you can use it however you wish. So if you guys, all three of you, if you could click and drag yourself into the group 1 breakout room to discuss and take notes, and then we'll meet back here in 3 minutes. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Okay, go ahead and click and drag into group 1. All right, so then for those of you listening virtually, please include some of these ideas that you have for the case study in your missed class summary. All right, I think we have everybody back here. So let me pull up. All right, so who's going to be your designated speaker here?
I can talk about facilitation or facilitating these course. We have for an online class, the learning technologies, or how we would incorporate technology, is that we would require students that a minimum for maybe 3 times a week that they have to log on to the class. Also encourage students to acknowledge contribution when responding, encouraging others to participate.
Good. Does anybody else want to talk about the design or the direction?
I can work on the direction. It was a little harder to find technology parts, but we could send them to specific websites for information. And then just kind of looking in the book and everything, it was more like providing feedback with respect and kind of helping them to reflect. So it was more kind of directing them how to move forward with collaboration and discourse.
Yeah. Ahmed, did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is a good start. And you know, having a teacher that's never taught an online class, but just giving some of these ideas can be very beneficial. So thanks, guys. All right, so in summary, regardless of what type of online course you teach, you can incorporate learning technologies and guidelines for practice into your online course to help increase interaction and its effectiveness. And in fact, surveys do show that with the proper design of online courses, they can be more favorable than face-to-face courses. So if you could do me all a favor, if you feel comfortable with what we've talked about today and what was presented, if you can give me a smiley face. If not and we have some confusion, then give me a confusion face and we'll cover it. Perfect. Thank you. All right, so that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, or you can certainly send me an email later. All right, so these are the references that were used for today's class, and thank you all and have a wonderful evening.